There is something known now that's coming up, has come up in the last year or so, something called the Toronto accent. And apparently it's this unique accent that is only in Toronto and cannot be found anywhere else. Now, I can tell you as someone who was born in Toronto, raised in Toronto, this thing simply does not exist. There is no such thing as a Toronto accent. It's not a thing that organically developed as a result of the unique culture of Toronto. It's just simply not real. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
And what I don't like is if the business is true, that you left your moms in the hood, somebody go smoke that you. You don't leave your moms nowhere. You have money and you left your moms there? Yo, you're sick to my stomach, fam. But
now, this is not real. People in Toronto do not talk this way. This is completely fraudulent. What this is a bunch of white people taking a Jamaican accent and then pretending to have it. That's exactly what this is. To be perfectly honest, this is really just a bunch of young white people taking a Jamaican accent, faking it, and then pretending it's this thing that's unique to them. This is simply not the case. Are there many Jamaicans who live in Toronto? Yes, there are many people from the Caribbean who live there. These people, the Toronto accent so-called Toronto accent is a plagiarism of this Jamaican accent. It's not a thing that developed here. The actual Jamaican accent developed in Jamaica. So to many, this appears to be a very kind of insulting thing, another form of cultural appropriation, like taking something that's of the unique cultural context of Jamaica and then is simply being taken by white people who are trying to be black, or as we called in the 80s and 90s, wiggers, and then trying to claim it's their own unique thing. But that's simply not the case. Well, one of the questions that arises is, why does this actually happen? Why are they taking this black culture and then just taking it on themselves? Why are there so many white people doing that? Now, the question as to what constitutes black culture can be a very difficult question to answer. So let's limit it specifically to hip hop, rap culture, etc. Now, you've heard the expression, white people have no culture. Now, a lot of people do not understand exactly what that means. They're not saying literally white-skinned people. They're not saying literally Europeans. They're talking about the sociological category of white. That being some idea of a collection of all people with white skin. This is what they mean when they say there is no white race, there is no white culture, because there literally is not. There is German culture, there's Irish culture, there's English culture, there's all kinds of different cultures, but there is no white culture. There is no single culture that is unified of all white people. The only thing that is unified of all white people is white supremacy. That category of which people, by whatever definition, because it keeps changing, is considered the good people, the ones that are acceptable, and the ones that are not white are the ones that are not acceptable, or the ones that are systemically oppressed. Which is why, at one time, the Irish were not considered white. Italians were not considered white. But as the white population began to shrink in certain areas, they decided, hey, maybe we should take on these other groups and consider them white so they would be a part of us and boost their power. This is why many of the lighter-skinned Latinos are considered to be white. That one's still contentious. There's not a unified agreement on that, but some Latinos who are white or who are very light-skinned can be considered that. Even some groups of Asians are considered to be white. not on the same level as a European, but still considered to be above, a quote unquote colored people, particularly the Japanese. But to be more specific about what this is about is why is there such a proclivity for particularly young white men to take on this quote unquote black culture? Well, it's true when there is no such thing as white culture. I mean, what is it really? I mean, aside from it being Americana. See, when alienation occurs, people generally have a kind of culture that they return to. That's a part of them. That's who they're from. When you get really, really bad alienation, most First Nations people turn to traditional beliefs, traditional cultures, food, clothing, beliefs, etc. And that happens with pretty much every group. But when you have a group of people, and in this case, white people, who have no connection to their original European roots, they begin to look for something else to fill that void of culture and identity. Most European people born in the United States or Canada cannot really claim to be a part of a culture which they were never actually in. Technically speaking, I am 84% English, Irish. But can I really say that I've ever really been Irish or English? I've never lived there. Was not raised in the culture. I've never been a part of it in any way, shape, or form. Genetically, yes, I am that. But can I say that I'm really a part of it, having never experienced it or been a part of it? Not really. And the same goes for the vast majority of white people who live in the United States and Canada. And when they go looking for that identity, and what they are met with is Western alienating nonsense, essentially what passes for capitalist culture, they unconsciously go looking for something to identify with, something to be a part of. And because those original European roots are just simply not there, because it's not something they've experienced, it's not something they've lived, they turn to something they have, which would be popular media, the hip hop, rap, etc., black culture, whatever it is you want to call it, whatever the particular correct term for that is today. These white people will turn to that because it is a culture, and it's the only one that they really know, or the only one that was really right there next to them as they grew up. Now, this is not the same for everybody. In older generations, there was a stronger American identity or Canadian identity that's, as alienation has gotten worse over generations, is not the same as it used to be. So these kids go looking for something to identify with. And that's what they end up finding because it's the most abundant thing for them. It's the closest thing to them, and which is why they end up taking that. So that's just a little bit of a brief explanation as to why this particular phenomenon occurs, why it's so prevalent, and why it continues to this day. Because the alienation that is capitalism, the thing that divides us from each other by not being able to identify with each other, is a continuing problem. That is why it happens to this day. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.